I covered Washington in person on Friday night in Vegas in the Pac-12 championship game. They were playing Texas. Texas is laying 4.5, and I was very, very impressed with what I saw in person. Obviously, it's impossible not to be impressed by what that team has to offer and stuff. So it's like kind of like one of these deals here where I'm having an internal conflict of like watching Michael Penix spin it. And I don't know if you've ever seen Michael Penix throw the ball in person, but when you're sitting up as high as you are in Allegiant Stadium and the ball pierces through the air, it like slows down in this perfectly beautiful spiral and then goes boom and zooms right into his receiver. I mean, he has, I don't know. I know he's going to get docked in the NFL draft process because of his weird throwing motion, but his passes are so they are like it's like porn. I don't even know. It's like they're perfect.
He is one of the best
prettiest ball in the country.
It's maybe the best deep ball
I've ever seen.
Deep ball we've ever seen. It legitimately might be. I saw Washington, Oregon, and Seattle up high. Same thing. It's immaculate to watch in person.
And the way that he throws across his body, I mean, he delivers the ball with precision. And this is the best wide receiver matchup of the playoff. I mean, you've got two teams in the Rose Bowl who don't have great receivers. I mean, I think Isaiah Bond and Jermaine Burton and those guys are really coming along well. But when you start talking about Xavier Worthy, who the hope is that he should be fine. X-rays were negative. He was in a walking boot and crutches on Saturday at the Big 12 championship game. JT Saunders and A.D. Mitchell versus Jalen McMillan and Rome Odunze and Penix. Like, that's going to be –
I think that game – leave out our guy Jalen Polk.
Yeah, and Polk. Like, I mean, like, listen, I think it's possible that the Sugar Bowl is the more fun game to watch.
Oh, absolutely will be more fun.
I think this is the more fun.
We have that?
I don't know if we have that yet. I keep refreshing the gambling page and the spreads aren't coming up for me, but it is it's going to be a very, very good game. And I think producer Cam here, Texas is 4.5-point favorites. If you have a team total or the over under total, that's what we're looking for.
I would like the over in that ball game unless it's like over 70.
You can't like the over before you know what the number is.
I like the over if it's like 60, 65. But if you get to that 70 territory in games like this, it affects the play calling. And you don't like these big time games. There's a lot of times a lot more defense than people think. But if it's like 60 to the 65 range, I would take it up to like 67, 68 probably.
Yeah.
Ari, I'm curious. I saw Washington in person. You've now seen Washington in person. As we imagine this matchup, we think Texas is going to be a lot more physical, and they're going to perhaps be able to push Washington around. But in these big games, listen to what I'm saying. In the big games, Washington always steps up, and they are a lot more physical against Oregon, Utah, Oregon State than they are.
The reason why
Arizona
I thought that
State.
Oregon was going to win on Friday night is because I thought that their lines would win the game.
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
And they didn't.
So they didn't. And I got to say, guys, I'm talking myself into this, but DeBoer versus Sark, that offensive play calling is going to be
awesome.
It's going to be, I mean, I guess in the world of like, okay, Florida State got screwed, but now like turning the page to what we're getting, like these could be the two best semifinals that we get on one playoff weekend or one playoff day. So I'm super excited about that. I hope I get to go to one of them.
Well, shoot, I mean, last year we got two incredible playoff games, semifinals as well, and then we got a crappy national championship game out of it. So it's Texas is favored, and I understand why.
Game, Ari was maniacally laughing and counting his money the whole time during the national championship game and sending out angry tweets and ripping colleagues.
I didn't cover the game. I didn't cover the game. I was at home, and it was the largest wager I've ever placed on a sporting event.
Cam says the over-under for the Sugar Bowl, Washington, Texas, 64.5.
Okay, yeah, I would take that. I'd take that.
My only concern is that if they're able to run the ball, like it's not going to be boom, 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 up, down. I think you're going to have some sustained drives.
I don't think so. I don't think. First of all, Washington doesn't really want to run the ball, and I'm questioning whether or not.
Well, I don't think Texas is probably going to want to get into a game where you have to score on every possession either. I think that Texas is going to run the ball, and they're going to run it well. And it just reminds me too. It's like, well, Xavier Worthy on crutches and Jonathan Brooks out for the year. That Florida State isn't the only team that's got some big injuries here. Like Texas is I think considerably, and CJ Baxter has been good, but I think Jonathan Brooks was probably the most underrated player in college football before he got injured. I don't think people valued what he brought to that team and his vision, his cutting ability, his explosiveness. And Chris, we were at the game together when he got injured. It was just terrible.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
missing a step yesterday. Keelan Robinson kind of gave them that little bit of that home run hitter a little bit.
Yeah, he looked really good late, but
their backs, they were missing something yesterday.
Yeah. So
they were, but man, like Sark was in his bag on Saturday. Like every single play, dial up something. You got someone gets the ball in space, nobody within 5 yards of him.
JT Sanders, like every catch, he's catching it. He's like the second best tight end in the country, and he catches it 8 yards downfield, and it's 5-10 more yards for anybody to puts a hand on him. It's crazy.
My question is, if it becomes the shootout, can Quinn Ewers keep up with Michael Penix Jr.? Because he was good yesterday, very good, but once in a while he kind of loses it a bit, and he looks very average. And Penix has had some turnovers late, so if that becomes a shootout, that will be really interesting as well. Is this going to be the first year we have 2 good semis and a good championship game?
Well, let's not put carts before horses, Chris. Let's wait till the games happen.
Chris doesn't see Group A and Group B like I do.
That's what I'm saying. If Alabama Texas rematch, do you think that's going to be a Alabama wins handily?
Listen, we got 3 games.
We can talk about it when we get there.
We have 3 playoff games. I think we'll get at least one that is a classic. Maybe 2. 3 is not out of the question, but there is a world in which Texas rolls, and there is a world in which Bama rolls. I'm not sure that I buy the first.